food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people first got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day, and every clue, don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets, with the people in the slums and the homeless bums, with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Phil, we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score.
Alright y'all, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Happy noon, happy lunch. I hope everybody's having a good 24 hours, you know what I'm saying? I hope things have been going positive wherever you are. Obviously, the world is really up, and the world's horrible right now, man. Not that it hasn't been horrible, but the world is horrible. The world, I mean, if you watch the news, there's a lot of shit going on. Mel, Stella, how you doing? All right, it's 12:50 a.m. in British Columbia. All right, yeah, thank you. I didn't know that. So it is actually, let me see here. What's the time here? It's 9:51 here. It's not, so you could say 9:50, right? 9:51 in Copenhagen, Denmark, a.m. Central European Time, 09551. But yeah, things are going on. I mean, we have Gaza that is just being exterminated, ethnically cleansed, essentially. We have, and that's just off the backs of a long history of, disputes where the Israeli government, in my view, has definitely, they've had the power, they've had the United States. I mean, I'm speaking as an American. We've had their back, and I'm sorry, but I don't like Netanyahu. I don't like what he's doing. I think he's abusing power, and abusing power. And when you abuse power, you lose power. Essentially, that's what happens. It's not good. You don't. I believe Netanyahu has harmed Israel, but in any case, that is one of the dynamics, one of the horrible situations that's going on, and the U.S. is involved in it. I don't necessarily have much to say about it, because I feel like people have been saying shit for years. People have been saying stuff forever. I'm not for just saying the same shit. I'm for something different happening. And I'm also for all sides being held accountable. I'm not talking about Palestinian people. I'm talking about there cannot be a solution if all players are not on board. Anybody that sells weapons, anybody disseminating weapons to either side needs to be at the table, period. It doesn't matter if you're selling it to a militia group, if you're selling it to a military, a government, if you're selling it to, terrorist organizations, whatever people want to describe them as, whoever is giving them the weapons needs to get on board to find a solution. Both sides. And I think, to be honest, the Palestinians they're caught up in geopolitics. It almost has nothing to really do with them. If you ask me, it could be anybody there. Anybody there would be in some turmoil just because of East and West. You know what I mean? So, but again, my heart goes out to Palestinians, but not only Palestinians, but Palestinians in Gaza, but also in other conflicts in the world, in Sudan, The world is also basically, I mean, you have the UN there at least some people are getting food, but these people just are not respecting human life. And these are brown people. You know what I mean? So we have to also think about that. Like, come on, what the hell? Why is it just that someone just has to be willing to provide weapons and people will kill each other? I mean, what's up with that? That's so lame. That is so lame. But in any case, we back on our Epstein shit, and we back on our Trump shit, and we back on our Maxwell shit, Ghislaine Maxwell, if that's how you say her name. We up on that espionage shit. We up on that covert attack against the U.S. You know, where you're kind of merging, some national party interests with another party, foreign governments outside of the US, propping them up in a sense, using the trolls, using their disinformation, this kind of thing. And yes, the right wing has walked in foreign invasion into the U.S., foreign tampering. The right wing, the MAGA people, they have coalesced with Putin essentially to get that MAGA movement started, and that's so treacherous in itself. Because me myself, I'm sorry, I live in a foreign country as an American myself. But I understand pride, and I understand why people would be proud of their own country, right? And be concerned and have a little bit extra concern about their country than maybe newcomers, you could say, right? But but in the US, no, man, some of these people, they just invited in foreigners, man. I would never do that. I don't believe in that type of thing. I believe that is just treacherous, treasonous. I'm not trying to bring a foreign nation into my dispute with another party or with other Americans. Like, that is so lame. That is so lame, That is just lame. And so I'm not up for that myself. So I would never do that. But in this case, in my opinion, MAGA has. They have definitely invited in, and that's not cool at all. That's not cool at all. And that's what the left is fighting. The left is not just fighting the right. The left is fighting the right being propped up by foreign governments and shit. So the left is fighting two entities, you see? And that's not easy to do. So big up to the left. We're fighting two entities with one hand tied behind our back, because the Supreme Court in the United States ain't shit. Like, literally, the Supreme Court is not shit. They do not fail in allowing criminals to run amok. Corruption is called, and if the U.S. doesn't get that in shape, we ain't going to have a country, yo. Straight up. If we don't get that corruption under order, just like in Israel, we ain't going to have a country. And we got to stop playing games and acting like there's some other way around it. Like there's something else is going to happen where that's going to make that scenario different. No, we have too much goddamn corruption, and nothing is going to change in the U.S. for the positive if we, as Americans, don't get off of that shit and start clamping down on corruption. And in my view, that starts off with the Supreme Court. 2 seconds.
Presidential terms.
Oh, hold on. That's not right. Let me see here. What about this?
To impeach a president,
Here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now let's get into this, because to impeach the Supreme Court, this is what it's going to take to save the country. It all comes down to the midterm elections. Not only because, as you know, I believe in gun rights myself. I'm an American, and I believe in fight back. I believe in don't let people bully you physically or politically, period. Like, I believe in communities. People need to stand up for themselves. States and countries and blue states need to stand up for themselves. And yes, these right wingers do like to threaten people, and the left just needs to be. We need to acknowledge our gun rights also. And we need to acknowledge our citizens' arrest rights. Like, can we arrest, can we start arresting FBI, or whoever the hell that, ICE, when they come in and break the law? What about citizens arrest? I mean, if all else fails, it's better to be prepared than not prepared at all. But in any case, as far as the political route goes, it really comes down to these next elections, the midterm elections, November 2026. And that's more than a year from now, if people can survive. That's more than a year from now. And it's good. It's a good amount of time to let the people who voted for this psychopath to reap some of his prizes, right? It's enough time for them to be able to think about it. Like the people on the right that supported Trump, poor white people a lot of poor people supported Trump. You all are going to have a year to suck, just to suck it all up, wallow in the mire, reap your rewards. And that's a lot of time to think. That's not fast. The solution's not coming fast to your problems. And so I hope by a year from now, you would have realized that you need to join your other countrymen who are saying we can't have a pedophile controlling things. We can't have mafia pedophile elites running our country. And we damn sure can't have them committing espionage, selling our country out. Having people if your leaders are blackmailed just because they all on tape and they all dirt and people are protecting they're protecting the list, they're protecting what's going on, right? If the American people don't ever get to know that, then these same foreign entities can always come and blackmail the next politician because we don't even know who's been a part of what so far. You see, so this is a real precarious situation. So I'm saying this is the goal for 2026. Listen up. Let me see. Is the volume up? Let's listen to this.
Vice President or Supreme Court Justice in the United States, the U.S. Constitution outlines a two-step process involving Congress. Hash 1. Grounds for impeachment. According to Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution, open quote, the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Close quote. These are not everyday crimes. High crimes and misdemeanors is a broad term that includes serious abuses of power, corruption, or violations of public trust. Supreme Court justices fall under civil officers, so the same standard applies to them. The impeachment process. A. Impeachment by the House of Representatives. Step 1. The House investigates and drafts articles of impeachment, formal charges. Step 2. A simple majority vote, more than 50% in the House, is required to impeach. If passed, the official is impeached, but not yet removed. B. Trial and conviction in the Senate. The case moves to the Senate, which conducts a trial. For presidential impeachments, the Chief Justice presides over the Senate trial. Senators act as the jury. To convict and remove from office, a 2/3 majority, 67 of 100 senators, must vote in favor. Summary: what you need to impeach and remove someone. Step: who does it, what's needed. Impeachment,
Right.
House of Representatives, simple majority. Conviction and removal, Senate, 2/3 vote. Let me know if you want examples from him.
So the Senate, we need 2/3 vote, right? We need the majority in Congress. But the 2/3 vote is the real big deal in the Senate, so that they can be prosecuted, removed, so that the act of removal can happen. And the Supreme Court, I mean, they are really bonkers. They're really out of their mind right now. I mean, they're going in and trying to change 100-year, century-old precedent, in making erroneous rulings that defy the entire Constitution. Like, they just think you can just move things around out of convenience when you want to be right wing, you want to have some right wing action, which you perceive as right wing, which is for them, there's no comprehensive immigration plan. They don't have a comprehensive one, no data being collected. But what they want is the allure of being able to go on TV and show themselves harassing people and being violent with people. That's what they like, the headlines and the TV time. But they don't like to give you data. You know, there's no comprehensive immigration reform in the U.S., and these people substituted it for just acts of, just acts that you could see, blatant acts that only damage your reputation as a country. I mean, they have destroyed the reputation of the United States. Not that it couldn't be challenged on other ways, international or in any other way. But we're talking about inside of the country, national. These people are harassing people, regular people walking around doing something positive. And, you know, they're arresting American citizens too. They're detaining American citizens. One guy got sent to. This was reported by Midas Touch, by the way. Big up to Ben Marsalis and all the Midas Touch squad, because they are really kicking some ass right now. But one Hispanic guy got sent to what was it, El Salvador, I believe, right? But he was an American citizen, I believe. Let me know if I'm wrong about this. But while he was there, he said that he was sexually assaulted several times, right? Several times. And now he's back in the USA where he should have been in the first place. They never should have sent him. And a lot of American citizens are still sitting back thinking that this can't happen to them, right? This has nothing to do with how long your family's been in the country. This has everything to do with they don't have any comprehensive plan. They cannot identify people themselves. They have no way of identifying people. So even if you are a citizen, if you just so happen to not have your birth certificate on you or your passport or both, you could end up on that, sent to another country. And nobody's checking. No one's really checking. There's no punishment. Even if you had your birth certificate on you and your passport and they sent you to another country, nobody's getting punished right now. You would have to wait a year if you survive to go to what? The bullshit ass Supreme Court? To deal with the corrupt ass Supreme Court? To deal with the U.S. court system right now? It's shame. It's just a shame, it's shameless. Really. It is a banana. Trump had the nerve to call African countries banana what is that what they call it? Banana something? Right? Well, the US right now is one of those shithole countries. Like seriously. It's a country with no law. They have screwed over the law in the USA. I mean, they're screwed over the law. They've screwed over the law. And it's hard to get it back. It's hard to get it back. And look who they screwed it over for. Look who they screwed it over for. They screwed it over all for a man to show his ass in front of them. Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. They're doing all this for a guy who likes them young, who sexually assaults women, who's been adjudicated, for a felon. They do all of this for a felon. What's this is corruption for you though. Anytime you have a Supreme Court helping this guy change the law, change precedent for a person like this, it speaks volumes for what the country stands for. At least on the as far as its constitution. This is what the Supreme Court thinks represents the Constitution. The Constitution works for this guy.
Now, I had a case. It was very interesting. A beautiful girl who was 17 or 18, applied to be a waitress. She's so beautiful. She's like a world-class beauty, like the young lady who just asked a question about the actress. She's so beautiful. And my people came, she said, "But Mr. Trump, she has no experience." So I interviewed her anyway, because she was so pretty. And I said, "Let me ask you, do you have any experience?" She goes, "No, sir." I said, "When can you start?"
Whoa.
You can work on my plan anytime.
You see this? You see this? This is what the Supreme Court bowed down to. Look, Clarence Thomas, Justice Roberts, look at how square they try to behave. They try to behave like they're the most upstanding citizens in the U.S. They're following the law. You know, they have their nose up at everybody else. These motherfuckers are corrupt. That's why they're helping this guy. They're corrupt. Tom, I would not be surprised if Clarence Thomas, well, he already had Anita Hill. He already was on there for, what type of person is going to their Senate, their Senate, oh my, confirmation hearing, right? And all of a sudden, their secretary, I believe she was what was she, administrative, say, what was she to? I forget. I don't want to say it wrong out of respect for Anita Hill, because obviously she's a very accomplished woman and was back then anyway, So, but I don't know exactly what her title was, but this guy allegedly, harassed her back then. And it is actually poetry. Sometimes you have to just read the writing on the wall. Two peas of a pod. That's really what is going on here. Even Justice Roberts, I'm pretty sure. A lot of times we think because they have the word supreme in front of them that there's something supreme about them. And look, this is what's supreme about them. This is what's supreme. This is what's supreme about them. This is crazy. This is what's supreme about them. I'm really.
See, now, she worked in my plan. That's like a death wish for me.
That is what they consider supreme.
Now, I had a case. It was very.
Anyway, this is just utterly embarrassing. It's utterly embarrassing. What could we do? Where could we go wrong? I mean, there's so much ugliness with this guy. What do you need to say anymore? It's all danger. It's all corrupt. It's all debauchery. These people, they're into debauchery. This is dumb.
He was caught cheating on video on the golf course. He cheated on his taxes. He cheated on his business loans. He cheated on his wives. He cheated on the business contractors that he stiffed through 40 years of business. And he tried to cheat in the 2020 election. Now he's trying to cheat and win this 2026 midterm election because he knows he can't win. He has ordered Governor Greg Abbott to obey his command and cheat on a Texas redistricting scam to gerrymander 5 new growth.
This is the Supreme Court's guy. The Supreme Court's guy is doing this, with their blessing, and they will go down in infamy, essentially, as being the justices that destroyed the United States of America. It's them. It's no accident. It's corruption. It's no accident. It's there just staring people, and arrogance, because you can't always find reasons to give a lowlife like Trump an angle, a way in to continue to do this type of debauchery and not have a problem yourself. You see what I mean? It's just that bad, actually. It's that bad.
And illegally drawn House districts. We are here because Texas is the first state under assault. If Texas House Republicans bow down to Trump like Abbott did, the other red states will follow. And if they do that, then America will be under assault. To me, House Republicans, in this case, are like a bunch of buzzards on the fence, waiting to swoop down on a dying carcass of democracy and feed on that. America is a democratic republic, and it's being dismantled daily by Donald Trump. Every single House Republican is under assault by Trump and Abbott. They are telling you that your integrity, your honor, and your duty is for sale.
You know, people have to get to the point where they make it very plain that this is an assault. This is an attack on the USA. This is a real attack. It's not a this is not a drill. You know, this is not just something that is innocent and something that is not transformative to a dangerous degree, right? To a destructive manner. This is transformative 100% to a destructive manner only. So Americans better start reshaping how they frame this, you know, reframe this. This is not another day at the voting booth. This is not another day headed to work. This is not just another year. No, this is like a real moment for the US right here. Like, everybody needs to be on board with this. People that slept before and people that maybe didn't sleep so much, but haven't decided that they want to physically or in any other way, maybe monetarily and physically join, you know, do some volunteer work or something. But this is the time in the USA, like, Americans need to stand up or they're not going to have a country. And those 1/3 of Americans, that 80 million of Americans that don't vote, the left right now, they need to go out and find out who those people are and knock on those doors. And I don't just mean the left, the center also. Anybody that wants a change needs to make it a priority to go find out who those people are, where they are, and get them to vote, because it's going to haunt the US, you know. Yeah, you can excite voters, people that are typically active, but people that are not typically active, you have to take one extra step and like just go straight out to their door and knock on that door, because, you know, this is yeah, it's all
And
bad
he
news.
is the buyer. And if you obey, you will be rewarded by not being primaried. And if you stand up to him and say no, you will be punished.
So they know essentially, and I know you all know this, but they know that the midterm elections next year, they won't be looking that good. And so they've stooped so low to try to gerrymander, try to change the voting districts, you know, try to change change how it's formed, change the form of it, you know, like cut around people, you know, segregate groups that would otherwise elect one type of person. Now they want to split them, put them in with another group, so their odds aren't so good. This type of thinking, you know, and gerrymandering, and yeah, it's pathetic. It's pathetic, but this is where it's headed, and there's not going to be anything different coming from this. This is what they want it to be. This is what they want it to be, you know?
What is the felony? What are the penalties for this?
So very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act. That would be bribery. And so the facts will have to come out. But I think based upon comments made by legislators themselves,
This guy's desperate.
they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that. and that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock,
This
they
dude's a
can cure
fucking asshole.
themselves of any quid pro quo that was
Look at
subjected.
this. You see what I mean? You see what I'm saying? They stick their nose up at people like people don't know what the hell a quid. You think we scared of a quid quo pro? You think we scared of this? You know what the hell did he say he was going to charge people of? Here, listen to this
Subject them to
bogus ass.
quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock. They can cure themselves of any quid pro quo that would subject them to potential bribery.
Right. Yeah. Oh, right. You think we scared of bribery charges from a goddamn sycophant Republican? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? They got some nerve talking about you're going to be guilty of bribery charges. Oh, do tell. Do tell. Explain how that's bribery. Explain how that's is there a law for bribery in the U.S. right now? I didn't think there was. I didn't think there was a law against espionage, bribery, blackmail, sex trafficking, anything. I thought, is there even a law against, having an insurrection in the United States? Is there a law on having an insurrection? I don't know. It seemed like you could have it. The Supreme Court would side with it. Just call it, you know what y'all do to protect yourself? Just call it January 6th, Part 2. Except this time it'd just be some different people running up in there. And then just see how the Supreme Court likes that. Let's see how the Republicans like that. Let's see how they like that. They liked the last time they saw it. They saw what happened and they said that was legal. These are just a bunch of good people. So is there a law against insurrection in the U.S.? Can you run for president if you lead an insurrection, or if you just go out and just say, have a little party in front, down in front of the White House, and then just say, or in front of the Capitol, and then just say down the street, I'll see you guys down there, man. It's going to be a hell of a time. Fight like hell. You're going to have to fight like hell. I'll see you there. Yeah, it's so unfair. Life is so unfair. Take back your country if you want a country. And then just say, oh, no, I just meant that rhetorically. I meant that through the ballot box. I didn't mean go kick the door in. I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like there's much law in the USA at all right now. Like, what law are you supposed to follow? You really supposed to follow some law? What law? Tell me the laws that are still in effect. I would really like to know. Yeah. Doesn't seem like there's many right now. It's got to be bothersome to a lot of people, actually.
Give us your reaction to hundreds of FBI officers in the New York field office being assigned to these documents, to study these documents.
It's absolutely crazy, Lawrence. It's crazy to assign so many on, as Senator Durbin said, such an arbitrary deadline that was really driven by the MAGA base, that was upset that Pam Bondi's first dispatch of the Epstein files was so underwhelming and mostly public information. And in light of that pressure, she and FBI Director Kash Patel essentially took most of the New York field office to look for redactions in the Epstein files. Now, keep in mind, this is the New York field office that does terrorism cases, that does violent gangs cases, that does corruption, that does all sorts of fraud, securities fraud. The list goes on. I worked with them for 10 years. All of these agents were pulled away from keeping the public safe just to look through these Epstein files, flag Donald Trump's name, and somehow, some way, Lawrence, and I wonder how, that arbitrary deadline that they were racing towards because of pressure to release the Epstein files came and went, and now all of a sudden there's nothing of interest to anyone.
So this woman, I mean, she admitted herself, she said herself, allegedly, right? And this is reported. Yeah, this is in deposition. This is in deposition. One of the girls, or I think it's been corroborated too by more than one, but Epstein-Maxwell used to tell them, the victims, that there's nothing you could do about it. We own the police, we own the DA, we own the FBI. And and that's back then in the 90s when she was telling people that. And judging by how the Epstein trial #1 went, or the Epstein, not trial, but the Epstein fiasco in Florida went in the 90s, right? Judging by how that went, the slap on the wrist, you would have to say she was right. And look at what's happening now. So to me, it just tells me it's just happening on a bigger level. Like, they got away with it then, whatever scam they were up to, which is obviously, the scam is a real criminal scam. It's a real criminal scam. It's a real defrauding, attempting to defraud the United States and the American people. Like, this is totally wild. They're raiding the coffers. They're basically robbing the entire country, and for themselves, and planning on walking away with it. Planning on just walking away saying, oh, well, that's how democracy works. That's what their plan is. This is what they believe democracy is. You can have Trump in there stealing all the money you want. Doesn't matter. His family can do whatever they want. Oh my goodness, man. And meanwhile, they can't even, the same people, the same folks, right? The same folks, they can't even tell you what the heck is really going on, right? With any type of, what do you call it? Prison situation. They can't tell you what's going on with the actual prison arrest, right? They can't tell you what's going on with the Epstein arrest, how he died. They can't tell you anything. It's really
where it
embarrassing.
gets tricky. Let's look at this one example. 4 a.m. Noel remains in full view of the camera, yet seconds later, someone walks in, and it appears neither Noel nor Thomas let her in. The report is silent on this apparent contradiction. And even if there was no other key, both Noel and Thomas had ample opportunities to let someone in. At least a half dozen times, one or the other of them exits the camera frame in the direction of the door, all without explanation. We shared this with our forensic experts, who agreed there was no way to conclusively determine from the video whether an unseen visitor was or was not let into the Epstein unit, although both Noel and Thomas have said no one else entered. At 6:22, either Thomas or Noel walk off screen again and reappear carrying food trays, breakfast for the prisoners. At this point, based on the autopsy results, Epstein is believed to already be dead. According to Thomas's account, he arrived at Epstein's cell to deliver his breakfast and found him in a seated position, his buttocks an inch from the ground, held up by a torn sheet tied to the bunk bed in his room. At 6:30, someone rushes in from off camera, according to the report. This was Noel returning to the desk to call for help after Thomas discovered Epstein. Epstein's body was quickly removed from the cell. Only Noel and Thomas witnessed him hanging. At 6:40 a.m., the video ends. Epstein's body is not.
So only Noel and Thomas witnessed him hanging. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. But he's dead, right? Who checked for a pulse? You know what I mean? Like, how do you move? How do you work in a prison, and you see someone? You work in a prison. You don't know how to take somebody's pulse. You don't know what to do. What if they don't find people that are dead. There's no procedures for that. Like, no, somebody just moves the body. No investigation. Isn't there supposed to be police that show up first before you move a body from a murder scene? I don't know. Am I missing something? Like, to me, that seems like so basic of a concept. But yet, that's what's going on in the
not
U.S.
seen being removed. Both Thomas and Noel have said they played no role in Epstein's death. They were charged with falsifying.
Look at this.
Falsifying documents, but those charges were dropped as part of a plea deal.
Who did that? Who was the prosecutor? Who dropped that? Who gave them a plea deal? Think about this. Epstein got a plea deal. Epstein got a plea deal in the beginning. That's the first thing he got was a plea deal. They get a plea deal. Listen, something is obviously very, very goddamn strange, because the entire time around Epstein, there's been like it almost looks like a system working to cover it up, essentially. And don't get me wrong, I'm not even talking about Biden, right? I don't, because people, that often backfires. People say, how come the Democrats didn't do anything? But then they find out, no, the Democrats actually did something. They're the ones who put Ghislaine Maxwell in jail. Duh. Come on. These people are crazy sometimes with their conspiracies. But in any case, it does appear like, even just outside of that, that there's something that has been giving people a lot of luck. Whatever it is behind it, the people that are behind this, they are given a lot of luck and a lot of favor every single time when it comes to the law.
Additional clarification could come from a second camera mentioned in the report.
That's if there's people behind it. But of course, I don't believe this guy committed suicide,
It recorded an elevator bank in the same unit, although the report stated that it did not cover areas that would have included access to Epstein's cell. It would at least show a missing minute. We reached out to the Department of Justice to see about obtaining that footage. They referred us to the FBI, who referred us back to the Department of Justice. Neither Tom...
Yeah, so you heard how that went. They gave them the round in, the merry-go-round, just around in circles. That's what they gave them. And yeah, that appears to be the best that they need to give people. But meanwhile, while that's happening, right? While that's happening, there's more people being appointed, right? Trump is still appointing people, and it's like an assault. He's appointing people. Check this out. Look at this. This is crazy. It's almost like right now, any American should be offended by the people that they are confirming, that the Senate is confirming to these positions and to these seats. And you should be embarrassed of the lack of, experience any of these people have in anything. They're just the last people that it's like you just went to the bottom of the list, the people that you would least likely pick, the last ones, and you went by everyone else that worked their way up. You went by everyone else that grinded it out, that knows things inside and out and all of this shit, and you just went for someone who doesn't have any experience in it and just said, boom, here we go. Let's put them in there. See how that works.
To amass. Dr. Kafari, have you heard about the DHS policy of collecting the DNA of children and storing it into the FBI criminal database, yes or no?
I believe there's not a policy to do children.
There absolutely is. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent.
You see what I'm saying? You see that?
Database, yes or no?
I believe there's not a policy to do children.
There absolutely is. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record into the FBI criminal database, yes or no?
I believe there's not a policy to do children.
Sorry, have you heard about the DHS policy of collecting the DNA of children and storing it into the FBI criminal database, yes or no?
I believe there's not a policy to do children.
There absolutely is. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this report from July 2025 titled Raiding the Genome, how the United States government is abusing its immigration powers to amass DNA for future policing.
Without objection.
This policy began under Donald Trump. In his first term, he authorized DHS to begin mass DNA data collection from immigrants, including children, and hand that data over to an FBI database designed to track violent offenders. Now that he's back, Trump is taking this policy to new extremes, adding more than 250,000 people to the database in just 4 months. I'm right here. 250,000 people, okay, in 4 months. This committee recently held a hearing on genetic data, and there was bipartisan agreement that DNA is highly sensitive and its misuse is a violation of people's rights because children as young as 4 years old could not possibly.
So they're taking
to
oh
amass.
my goodness,
Dr. Kafari,
they're taking children's DNA. They're taking children's DNA. You know, immigrant children's DNA. They're taking their DNA, and Lord knows what they're doing with it, because you have all the tech bros out there getting anything. I mean, right now it is, the United States is just corrupt. The rich people are just running amok. They're just running amok. The Supreme Court is allowing it. They're not allowing the anyone to defend the country in the courts by making erroneous decisions. Obviously, that's what that does. It is designed to incapacitate the defenses, you know, that would normally be there, you know. And it's the Supreme Court, folks. I can't say it enough, but a year, I don't think the U.S. can survive a year with this Supreme Court, like flat out. Like, it seems like it is very, very corrupt. And look, this isn't a good example of what's going on here. Like, can anybody verify if this picture is real? This is going around, and it's not going around on some shady places. It's like, I believe this is real. Elon Musk looks a lot younger. So does Epstein-Maxwell. I wonder what year this is. If anybody knows, let me know. But so far from what I know, this is an actual real picture, you know. And but let me know if it isn't. Like I said, let me know if it isn't. But this is a perfect example of what's going on. Nepotism, elitist, pedophiles, espionage, you know, secret city espionage, but elitist on the highest level. Like, they look down on the American people. Listen to what, can I find this? Listen to what they said about Epstein-Maxwell. Let me see if I can find this here. It's very disturbing, but here it is. Listen to this. Oh, can I take that off? It's right there. Yeah. Listen to this one right here. Let me see. Boom.
What a explosive and just kind of earth-shattering development this is for so many victims. My phone has been ringing off the hook all day today. Not just victims, but also from members of law enforcement who either worked on this case or have, you know, followed this case closely, because it is just, it is so unbelievable to them, the timing. It just looks and suggests that there may be some kind of deal made in the last couple days. And the statement that the Giuffre family said today was so clear. It was shocking to me, actually, how strong it was. They said this smacks of a cover-up. And I think the major thing that all of these victims, members of law enforcement, even just people who, of the general public, who have such an interest in this case, it is the reason that this is so incredible is that it speaks to the very thing that makes the Epstein case such an issue of national importance. And that's the fact that the evidence suggests, you know, laid out that we have learned through lots of testimony, through interviews and other things, that there were different standards of justice for people who had power and means. And that's why this story even has taken on this conspiracy theory level online across the internet, because it has this stickiness, and that point was just underscored in the events today. So I would say the victims and others involved in this case, they are distraught, and they feel that something is very amiss here.
So Shan Wu, you have the timing of this move to a lower security prison. You also have, at a minimum, the unconventional talks between the president's
I'm going to let this play, but in a moment, she's going to describe what Ghislaine Maxwell was telling the victims. It's something people need to hear. Let me see here.
Deputy Attorney General and a woman who's been convicted and is now serving 20 years for horrible, horrible crimes. And you have attached to that the President's Justice Department's decision not to release files that he long said he would release. So when you add those things together, does that legally seem inappropriate to you?
It does seem inappropriate in this sense in particular, Jim, which is it's utterly in disarray. It's unprofessional. It's not how you would conduct an investigation. There are many situations where someone who is giving valuable information as a cooperator, they may get little perks. They get more phone calls, maybe more access to the computer. There's no indication here that they're getting anything valuable, and one wonders what could possibly be valuable at this point. I mean, her testimony would be so biased, so discredited. Yeah. Not only that, you factor in the idea that the Deputy Attorney General is conducting the interview. It's really unheard of. Why not have the agents who worked on the case, the prosecutors who really know the case, see if there's something else that can be valuable? This simply sounds like they're playing some FaceTime to her. We'll have the Deputy AG come in who never does interviews like this. And then when you add in the timing, we're going to give you a nicer, cushier kind of place to be in jail. It seems like they want to entice her into doing something that's helpful to them, but really there can't be anything of substance that's of value coming from her at this point.
Sarah, of course, many of
the woman didn't testify in her own trial, so she didn't even have to take the fifth. So she offered nothing, maybe in a deposition, but not in a trial. I don't know what she said in any depositions, but in the trial she didn't take the stand. So yeah, that doesn't seem like she was being too helpful to the people that locked her up, but Trump is not that person that locked her up. So he wants to do things differently, you know.
Many of the president's supporters, and at times the president himself, promised that they were going to be transparent where previous administrations were not, that they were finally going to release all the files that showed how far and wide Epstein's and Maxwell's crimes went. Now you have the president reversing that, it seems. And I wonder, do family members, victims, friends, relatives, etc., look at this as a betrayal?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everyone was willing to.
Not if you're elite MAGA. The elite of the elite MAGA, they don't take it as a betrayal. They're out there defending it. You know, they're defending Ghislaine Maxwell right now. It's insane.
On a bipartisan basis, of course, remember, there are over 1,000 Epstein victims. So this is a really wide group. And that's just that we know of, that the Justice Department has acknowledged. It is likely many times that. But I think it's important that this is, you know, these victims viewed this not as a political football, which this has kind of become in recent weeks. For them, this is about accountability and justice. And that's important for two reasons. One, Epstein, we know through our reporting and all of the evidence that has been presented in court as well as civil litigation, that this was an extensive sex trafficking operation that involved a lot of people, including some mandatory reporters, doctors, other people that would have been required to speak out about what was happening.
Now listen to what she's about to say here. This is key.
About what was happening. And so those people have not yet been held accountable in any meaningful way. And secondly, all of the victims, and especially Virginia, who, you know, I was.
What's up, Donnie? Yo, check out what she's about to say right here. This is what I'm getting at right here. I think this deserves some examination.
Right up until she died. It was so important to her that what came out of this horrific experience was changes in legislation, changes in rules about how law enforcement talks to victims, that they have to be informed before certain things happen. None of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, you know, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here.
Here it is.
Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims, and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really
You see what I'm saying? But see, the thing is that she wasn't lying. She was not lying when she said that. And I think that's what people need to grasp their heads around. The media also, and just everyday people. Like when she said we own the police, we own the DA, we own the FBI, she was not lying. She wasn't just saying that to scare the victims. She was being real about it. That's what it sounds like to me. Because look, she got a pass. The police, the DA, and the FBI gave him a slap on the wrist. What's up, Pumpkin? Gave him a slap on the wrist. Straight up. They gave Epstein a slap on the wrist. And then when you think about it, these people, they're still around today and they're in higher places now. Their boy Trump became the president. One of the main people involved with them became the president twice. So if you ask me, there's no way that the United States is not in serious, serious trouble. Like serious. I'm talking about like this guy is caught up in some trouble. There's reports now that they say Russian media is releasing nude pictures of Melania, right? But also that the way they're describing her is basically like a cheap thing, like really, and threatening to release something else about Trump. So and me myself, I've always thought like all this time Trump was with Epstein, the story is that they were looking after girls, young ones. So why would he was visiting Russia at that time? So why would his behavior in Russia be any different? And it just makes me wonder, like Melania, I mean, she's really starting to look like she is one of those girls, who does the compromat, goes for the Russian government. I think that is what they were leaning at on Russian TV. They're trying to insinuate that Melania Trump is actually, they know where they sent her to get down with Trump and Trump fell for it. I think that's what's being alleged, right? And if you ask me, that sounds plausible. Just looking and listening to Melania and what was she? She was a model. Okay. She's doing naked pictures. Okay. She met Trump. She's been hanging out around with Trump and Epstein. Okay. What are they doing? Trump and Epstein. Well, Epstein is doing sex trafficking for one. Trump's hanging around him while he's doing it. I mean, for two, this is like, I don't like to me, it seems like the media, they can't just call it like it is. They have to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. But why do me, myself, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but Trump has showed people too many things. He showed people that the worst can be true. He showed people that. I mean, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. In any case, hold on. Is this the right one, man? Charlemagne the God had the nerve to come up on Laura Trump's show, man. Hold on.
Sneering at half the country, audiences eventually tune out. Just ask the Late Show host Stephen Colbert.
Now,
and then there's
examine how fake this is. Examine how fake this is. Like she comes on and the subject is what's the guy's name? Cobain, right? The late night comedian dude, right? But he's huge. He's huge. And he's talented and he has a huge following. But look at how she claims to be dissonant. She comes out and she makes a statement saying that he just got let go and it must be because of bad numbers. But she doesn't show any numbers. But then when she compares it to another TV show that fell off, right? I think it's The View or something like that. She's showing numbers from The View. Check how slick this is. Peep game.
And then there's The View, where diversity somehow means only inviting left-wing guests. It begs the question, is there still appetite for civil discourse and apolitical entertainment? Or has the liberal echo chamber become the norm? Well, Charlemagne certainly has some thoughts.
You see that?
Well, I give you a lot. And then there's The View, where diversity, half the country, audiences eventually tune out. Just ask the Late Show host Stephen Colbert. And then there's The View, where diversity
You see? So she just skips over to The View. Now,
somehow means only inviting left-wing guests. It begs the question, is there still appetite for civil discourse and apolitical entertainment? Or has the liberal echo chamber become the norm? Well, Charlemagne certainly has some thoughts.
oh, okay, she didn't show the data here. She's going to show us soon. Watch.
Well, I give you a lot of credit because you have had me on your show.
Yeah, he not qualified, bro. We seen this before. This is like, what was it? The first Louisiana flood, and they was like, let's hear from Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? Laura's like, let's hear from Charlemagne the God.
You have people with
it's an earthquake.
different
Let's hear from
viewpoints
Charlemagne.
on a lot of different things on your show.
This is going to require some real high level thinking, some real deep background. Who do we call? Breakfast Club.
On your show. And Charlemagne, I think we need more of that.
Absolutely.
You look, though, at things like, take a look at these numbers. This is The View. The View had, since January, from January until June, or July, look at that, 0 conservatives and 102.
You see how slick that was? So she started off talking about Cobain, and then is it Cobain, right? And then she went over to The View, but she doesn't show any data from the first show. She only shows her little data from The View, which is The View's guest, January, right? She's saying there's no conservatives here, 102, right? But I don't. This is weird because if you go to, let's say, Fox TV, right? What is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go to Fox TV, I don't understand that, and they have lower views. You want to know who has more views than Fox TV? The Midas Touch has way more views than Fox TV. I mean, the Midas Touch might have more. I think they got more views than CNN. Don't quote me on that one, but I believe so. So, YouTube news is bigger than cable news. Basically, the most popular news show is not on cable. It's not cable or CNN. It's not legacy media actually anymore. So places like Fox, they really serve as like a propaganda arm for Trump. You could tell they totally sold out to Trump. They can't do anything else after Trump is gone. They destroyed their whole reputation, So, but they sold out to Trump and they were willing to do it. But it's not news, and what type of guests do they have? And then why would anyone want to go on their show when they mob people? They say some very vulgar things on Fox News about people, just openly, which shows you the type of audience they're trying to relate to, like, people that are not so conservative, but people that are very judgmental, easily thrown a trope. But let's hear some more from Charlemagne.
Since January, from January until June or July, look at that, 0 conservatives and 102 left-leaning guests. And then listen to.
Is that real?
That's real. And this is ABC News. And listen to what
Is that real? Look at this. You see, that's Charlemagne, his thing. He's gonna like hop in there and pretend like he's in the center. He likes the Dems, but he doesn't like the Dems. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to see. Man, did he even help Kamala Harris or did he harm her? I bet I think he did advocate for her somewhat, right, towards the end. But in some kind of way, I think he also goes conspiracy theory-ish sometimes. Like, he entertains some of the tropes sometimes, I believe. And I'm not too sure if that's healthy. You know,
listen to what ex-reporter Terry Moran had to say. He said, but we were biased. Yes, almost inadvertently, I'd say ABC News has the same problem so many leading cultural institutions do in America, a lack of viewpoint diversity. It's no secret there are hardly any people who supported Donald Trump.
You see the gaslighting? Like, their policy is literally anti-DEI, anti-diversity, and yet they complaining about the lack of diversity. It's like, what are they talking about? They talking out of both sides of their necks, yo. It's like
Donald Trump at ABC News or other corporate legacy mainstream news networks. How important do you think it is to have different viewpoints and allow people? I mean, you're here on my show. I appreciate that. And vice versa. You had me on yours. This is important.
I think it's very important because I think a lot of times people talk about folks they never talk to.
Yeah.
And if you think that a person is spreading misinformation, if you think that a person is lying, then, you know, bring them on your platform and have that conversation. Like, you know, present the facts, present the truth, and then let the people decide. I think that's ridiculous to never, ever have anybody on your show that you don't agree with or has an opposing view of you or is from a different political party. Because at the end of the day, man, regardless of who's in the White House, that person represents all of America. And I reserve the right to criticize both parties.
Well, and I would say that person is...
Yeah, how convenient. You know what I'm saying? How convenient. I preserve the right to criticize both parties. Oh, do you? Oh, do you? Really, Charlemagne? Like, because, you know, I don't know how he feels. See, this is what bothers me. He doesn't seem like he's upset. You know what I mean? Really, like, so I would really like to know if I had a chance to, I don't watch him that much, so maybe he has spoken on it, but I would like to ask him, does he like seeing babies ripped from their families? Does he like seeing everybody go to the grocery store and see the prices go up? Does he like seeing black women fired from their jobs, or even black people fired for their jobs just for being black? Does he like seeing that? Does he like seeing, just all of this crap that they're doing, raiding of these are things that are unprecedented. And he's talking about, I reserve the right to criticize both parties. Yeah, so fucking what? So what? Get over it, man. You think criticizing both parties is deep? That's not deep at all. You know, of course you have the right. You reserve the right. No duh, until they come and knock you upside of your head and tell you you don't have that right anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a lot of people, that's what time of day it is right now. They're knocking people upside the head and telling them they don't have any right anymore to stuff. And he's like, I reserve the right to criticize both parties. Ah, wow, you're living on the edge, aren't you? Wow, living on the edge of life. You know, Charlemagne is really kicking down the door.
Is a representative of America, and we should all want that person to succeed for America, right? No matter your political viewpoints, right?
100% agree. Like when you ask me, you know, what do I think President Trump has done over the last 6 months? I don't want to say that I think he did a terrible job, but if he's doing a terrible job, I got to call it like it is. And if it was a Democrat,
I will respectfully disagree with you on that.
Understand,
but that's okay. You can have your viewpoint.
But if it was I gave President Biden the same help.
Listen to her. That's okay. You see how this bullshit comes? This is like totally set up. You can have your viewpoint. Well, that's not what you've been doing. You're anti-DEI. You've been firing people just because they're black. You've been removing people from the history books just because they're black and native and women. These are the anti-DEI people. Now all of a sudden, you see that slick? They try to flip the script, and they're using Charlemagne as a vehicle to do it. You know, he sounds like he's going to talk down about Trump, but the truth is that he's normalizing Laura Bush or Laura Trump, whatever her name is. He's like making her seem like, you know, you see what I mean? He's entertaining. How can I say this? He's allowing her to communicate her fake view. Her fake liberal view now. Now she's the liberal. she's liberal with us. You know what I'm saying? Charlemagne's liberal. I have the right to, I have the right to talk about any other political party, to talk bad about either one of them. Ha ha ha. You know, I'm a liberal, and she's a liberal now too. It's like, everyone, sure, you have your right to your opinion. Everyone has that right. Meanwhile, they're snatching babies. you know, kicking American citizens out of the country.
Well, job, I got to call it like it is. And if it was a Democrat,
I will respectfully disagree with you on that.
I understand
but that's
you would,
okay. You can have your viewpoint.
But if it was
You can. Oh, now you can have your viewpoint. Now people can have their viewpoints. Oh, really? Is that true? What are the viewpoints we can have now? What are the viewpoints? The DEI was all built up on the people's viewpoints, and now you see, this is just. But in any case, Charlemagne does say his piece about Trump, and
I gave President Biden the same hell too, you know, because I didn't think he was doing a good job. All we want is somebody in those positions that's going to do a good job. I'm not a party person in no way, shape, or form. I want to say I'm an independent, but that don't make no sense because there's only two parties in this country, right? So you're going to end up voting for one of the other.
Do you see yourself in 2028 voting blue or voting red? And is there anyone you might already see yourself supporting?
I really don't know.
he really doesn't know. He really doesn't know. Charlemagne doesn't know. I mean, very, very interesting.
To do a good job. I'm not a party person in no way, shape, or form. I want to say I'm an independent, but that don't make no sense because there's only two parties in this country, right? So you're going to end up voting for one of the other.
Do you see yourself in 2028 voting blue or voting red? And is there anyone you might already see yourself supporting?
I really don't know. I mean, I think that there's some good candidates out there. You know, I think that we really have to look to the governors when it comes to the Democrats. I don't think that.
Anyway, can't listen to no more Charlemagne. But in any case, you get the point. Now they dragging his ass out there to try to normalize and help the ones who have been extremists appear that they're moderates, or now they want to go back into their moderate shell and fake the funk. After they went out there and had people literally being snatched, babies snatched from their parents' hands. This is insane. This is just insane. And you're right. She's going to take that deal, Donnie. She's going to take that deal. This is what happened to Caroline Leavitt lately. This just happened. Watch.
Does anyone have any questions for Patty or for me? No?
I have a question.
No? Anybody? Okay. We'll see you all later. Does anyone have any questions for Patty or for me?
She's barely holding on.
No?
I have a question.
She's barely holding on. She's barely holding on. Check this shit out right here. Look at this. This was so hilarious. I couldn't believe this, but these people, they go on record all the damn time, and they go on record so much with their garbage that you would think that at some point they would just stop with it, but they do not stop with it. They don't ever stop with it. Hold on, let me see. Sorry about that. They don't ever stop with it. But where's this one? Where's this one? Is it this? Is it this one? 2 seconds. Let me see. Is it this one?
I want to know why
Right.
AG Garland and the Justice Department.
Check this out. This is her talking that shit, just a few months ago. Another flunky. This is the lady who let off Epstein-Maxwell, basically. She's a, sycophant of Acosta's, and she celebrated his lack of defense of the victims in Florida. But listen to her. This is just to give you an idea. These people only talk shit, and she will look you in the face. And if you fall for her, if you think that she somehow cares about you, an American, that she somehow cares about being truthful at all, you are really dumb.
Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. They're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business.
This is her whining about the Biden administration a few months ago.
In this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
You hear that? Come on, let's say that one more time. This is just how phony these people are.
I want to know why A.G. Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. You know, they're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists.
You don't say, do you?
Yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is...
Wait. Were the documents so slow to come out? You don't say. That's what a coincidence. What a coincidence that you say that.
And trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs.
And on my way home, I ran over a turtle with my car tire.
And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
Yeah, this is when she used to be a go hard, when she used to be a go hard, get them all, clean up corruption, clean up the pedophiles. Gal, this is only a couple of months ago. But now she's not for releasing the files so quickly or at all. She is for letting Ghislaine Maxwell out of jail, have a pardon or have a commuting of her sentence or something like that, right? To get her ass out, home confinement at the very least, where she can live it up, la vida loca for the rest of her, for her elder years. You know what I'm saying? She can live that fly yacht life out, and no doubt they will be buying her one. I mean, think about all the secrets. All the people that want to be kept a secret that's going to be sending her loads of money. But this is Pam Bondi. This is what you got, elected officials. This is what MAGA elected. They fell for the blonde-haired girl that talks tough and found out that she was just a phony, an opportunist, right? A sellout, Not caring anything about the United States, not a community even, not a town, not a neighborhood. She's just like, fuck that. I got a job. I want this check. I'm going to do what Trump said.
I want to know why A.G. Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. You know, they're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
Wow. Well, she don't back up her own shit, because she totally flipped the script. And now she is not talking about any of this at all. She doesn't want it at all. But guess who is talking? Guess who's talking? I mean, this is just insanity.
I had a conversation yesterday with someone who speaks to Trump often, and this person has spoken to Trump in the last 48 hours. Now, a really good way to understand what's on Trump's mind is to track the conversations that he has with this set of people who he...
And of course, he was on Midas Touch.
He calls often. I think my feeling has always been that that Trump needs to think out loud, and calling this list of people who he appears to trust even though they might call me afterwards, is a way really to say, to think, to follow exactly what is on Trump's mind. In this conversation that he had within the last several days, he said to this person, "People say I had Epstein killed. I didn't have Epstein killed," Trump said. And then this person said, "Well, do you think that he was killed?" And Trump replied, "A lot of people wanted
him dead." So look at all these statements. So you have that statement, you have the fact that there's motive because Epstein's showing these pictures, having secrets on Trump, all of these things together, and all these comments that Trump has made. How is it that he wouldn't, to the police or the feds, look like the person who killed Epstein? Like, why wouldn't he look like it? Even if he didn't, why wouldn't he look like it though? Let's say he didn't, but this is all there. I mean, wouldn't you have a hard time thinking that he didn't, when he's almost saying all the things a guilty person would say? I mean, I really I don't understand it, because the information seems to be bleeding. Something is terribly wrong. Trump did it. Something is terribly wrong. Like, maybe the worst thing. I mean, well, let's just say this. How bad would it be to have a president that killed somebody in jail to keep secrets about little girls that he slept with, or espionage or other things, blackmail? Who knows what secrets, what other secrets Epstein's, but pretty much people pretty much agree that it's definitely about girls, but it could be about more things, right? Now, how bad is that? Is it really, 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 is that like the worst thing that could happen to a country? Is that something, in terms of like the blackmail or the implications of that? I mean, people are saying Mossad has the images. People are saying Russia has the images. People are saying Russia has their own images too. People are saying that Melania was also a KGB girl, right? How bad could it be to just, how, if those things are all real, if those things are truly real, truly what the situation is, how bad is that on a scale of 1 to 10? Is that a 2 or a 3 or 4 or a 5, or is that a goddamn 10, like a fire, just an all-out fire going on in the house? Let me know what you think. Because I don't see positivity. I don't see positivity coming out of this. I don't see positivity. And can you please tell me, again, let me know about this picture right here. Let me know about this picture, y'all. Is this, it looks like a real picture to me. It looks like a real picture to me. But you let me know what you think. Let me know in the comment section, once the video is finished. But please let me know, because I don't want to feel like I'm the only one that thinks this way. You see what I mean? But this is truly what comes to my mind when I see this stuff. Yeah, that's all I can say. I don't see it as something positive. I see it as something very, very troubling, and of the deepest order troubling. Like, not just superficial, we can survive this thing, everything will be all right. No, this is like scary troubling to me, if you ask me. But on that note, I'm out, y'all. I'll catch up with everybody later on, in a maybe about 5 hours from now. I gotta take care of a few things, but I'll be back, and we're going to continue to talk. I appreciate everybody coming out and supporting. Subscribe, like the video, and so more people can know about it. I appreciate y'all. Peace. Peace, Donnie. Peace, things worth knowing. Bev, y'all be good. Have a good start to your day too.
See ya. They want more. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a debt owed? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't